Pentagon sends U.S. arms stored in Israel to Ukraine. The Pentagon is tapping into a vast but little-known stockpile of American ammunition in Israel to help meet Ukraine's dire need for artillery shells in the war with Russia. The Ukraine conflict has become an artillery-driven war of attrition, with each side lobbying thousands of shells every day. Ukraine has run low on munitions for its Soviet-era weaponry and has largely shifted to firing artillery and rounds donated by the United States and other Western allies. Artillery constitutes the backbone of ground combat firepower for both Ukraine and Russia, and the war's outcome may hinge on which side runs out of ammunition first. With stockpiles in the United States strained and American arms makers not yet able to make up with the pace of Ukraine's battlefield operations, the Pentagon has turned to two alternative supplies of shells to bridge the gap, one in South Korea and the one in Israel, whose use in the Ukraine war has not been previously reported. The shipment of hundreds of thousands of artillery shells from two stockpiles to help sustain Ukraine's war effort is a story about the limits of America's industrial base and the diplomatic sensitivities of two vital U.S. allies that have publicly committed not to send lethal military aid to Ukraine. Israel has consistently refused to supply weapons to Ukraine out of fear of damaging relations with Moscow and initially expressed concerns about appearing complicit in arming Ukraine if the Pentagon drew its munitions from the stockpile. About half of the 300,000 rounds destined for Ukraine have already been shipped to Europe and will eventually be delivered through Poland, Israeli and American officials said. As senior defense and military officials from dozens of nations, including NATO states, prepare to meet at Ramstein Air Base in Germany on Friday to discuss sending Ukraine more tanks and other arms, U.S. officials have been scrambling behind the scenes to cobble together enough shells to keep Kiev sufficiently supplied this year, including through an anticipated spring offensive. With the front line now mostly stationary, artillery has become the most important combat arm, Mark F. Kansian, a former White House weapons strategist, said in a new study for the Center for Strategic and International Studies in Washington, where he is a senior advisor. Another analysis published last month by the Foreign Policy Research Institute said that if Ukraine continued to receive a steady supply of ammunition, particularly for artillery, arming the Ukrainian military with enough artillery ammunition is part of a larger American-led effort to increase its overall combat power by also providing more precision long-range weapons, Western tanks, and armored fighting vehicles and combined arms training. The United States has so far sent or pledged to send Ukraine just over 1 million 155mm shells. A sizable portion of that, though less than half, has come from the stockpiles in Israel and South Korea, a senior U.S. official said, speaking on the condition of anonymity to discuss operational matters. The Ukrainian army uses about 90,000 artillery rounds a month, about twice the rate they are being manufactured by the United States and European countries combined. U.S. and Western officials say the rest must come from other sources, including existing stockpiles or commercial sales. Over the summer, during intense fighting between Ukraine and Russia in the eastern region of Donbass, Pentagon officials gathered satellite imagery that showed the devastation wrought on farmland between the two forces' trench lines. Fields had been transformed into moonscapes, pitted and pocked with rockets of crater shells. Since then, American officials have leaned on Ukrainians to use their artillery more judiciously. And the arrival of precision rocket artillery, like HIMARS rocket artillery, has allowed Ukraine to strike more expertly.